Welcome to Tea with Tanya. I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose, an average millennial navigating life as a maternal health professional, nonprofit founder, and grad student. Join me in the tea tasting room where we spill the tea on finding balance and promoting positive living while doing it all. Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Tea with Tanya. Thank you for joining me here in the tea tasting room. I am here to bring you another insightful conversation about your health and well-being. But before I get into that, I did promise you last month that I would do my best to bring you some sort of health tea for whatever month we're in. And we're in a new month. It's October. And just like September, October is pretty busy as well. In September, we are raising awareness as it relates to breast cancer. It is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In the month of October, we have Period Action Day, which, I'm a period girly, you know how it is. So I'm looking forward to that day as well. And then one of my favorite health observances for this month is the health literacy. It's about raising awareness about health literacy. And you know how I feel about us having the knowledge to make informed decisions about our health and wellness. So I am very excited for the month of October. But today I want to dig into something that we all know is important, but sometimes forget to prioritize. And that is our annual checkups. Now, my friend, I know life gets busy because you're talking to the girl here that's super busy 24/7. And sometimes going to the doctor might feel unnecessary and it isn't the most exciting thing, especially if you're feeling fine. But trust me, making those yearly visits is a key part of taking control of your health. Routine checkups can be life-saving, and I'm going to talk about why they can be life-saving, because in this episode, we're going to be talking about why these checkups matter, the essential tests you should consider asking for, and also how to advocate for your health when you're sitting in that doctor's office, because we know it can be intimidating. But here in the tea tasting room, we're all about empowerment, knowledge. So, grab your favorite cup of tea and let's get into it. All right, now let's start with the basics. Why do annual checkups matter? If you're anything like me, you've probably thought, you know what, I feel fine. Do I really need to go to a doctor? My friend, the answer is yes, in all caps, YES. And here's why. There's so many health conditions that don't show any symptoms until we're already in the advanced stage. I'm talking about things like, different types of cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes, even high cholesterol. For me, I'm talking to you today, and I'm a girl that's currently living with extremely high cholesterol. And that's not because my diet is poor or anything, but I wouldn't have known if I didn't go see my primary care provider a few weeks ago and did some blood work, but I'll share more about that in the episode. But doing an annual checkup, it's a way for you to stay on top of your health and catch any sort of potential issues early before they become a big problem, because we don't want any problems in our lives, period, and we definitely don't want any big health problems as well. So prevention, as they say, is better than cure. And let me tell you, when it comes to your health, early detection can be a lifesaver. Plus, it gives you a chance to establish a relationship with your healthcare provider so that when things do come up, you're not starting from scratch. And I think sometimes we underestimate the importance of having that relationship with our healthcare providers, because at the end of the day, it's a partnership. You know what I mean? Now, no matter your age or stage of life, annual physical exams are very crucial to your ongoing health. These visits help to keep you on track when it comes to your progress on your health. Now, if you haven't had a checkup in a while, or you're wondering what's involved, here's what you can expect during a routine annual checkup. One of the first things you're going to do, at least for me, and I'm sure it's going to be for you, is a vitals check. So the nurse assistant or the medical assistant, because it's never usually your doctor, to be honest, they're going to measure your blood pressure, your heart rate and temperature. They're going to get your height and your weight just to see, get a baseline to see what's going on with you as well. And if these numbers are crucial, then, there's something that they can quietly put at ease, or by giving you certain guidance or medication as well, because again, having high blood pressure, for example, that can quietly, low-key, put you at risk for heart disease, and we don't want that. So these vital check tells your doctor about your overall health and even any small changes that they need to look into on a deeper level as well. There's also going to be a weight check. So while it can sometimes feel uncomfortable, tracking your weight over time helps to identify any trends that may signal changes in your health. So it's not necessarily about the number on the scale, but what's happening within your body. That's why we're also doing a weight check whenever you go to these appointments. Or you have your physical exam. Your doctor's going to examine your heart, your lungs, your abdomen, and any other parts of your body that to make sure everything is feeling normal. This also is a chance for you to address any sort of weird symptoms you may have noticed. So when they're putting that stethoscopes in their ear and putting it on your chest, they are listening to your heart to make sure that it is functioning the right way. When they put it on your back and they're telling you to inhale and exhale, they're checking to see if your lungs are functioning the right way. When they're touching and pressing on your belly in that abdomen area, they're checking to make sure that everything is running normal or is smooth in your body as well. There are other organs in there that they're checking for. So that's what you're going to see there as well. Another thing that you're going to experience at your annual checkup usually is your preventative screening. So these are really important. And depending on your age, your sex, and your medical history, your doctor may recommend some blood work or other tests like, your mammogram or pap smear or, a prostate exam as well. So these are going to be very important. And this is what you can expect to happen at a routine checkup as well. One of my favorite things that I've been noticing that when I was young, I don't recall that being a thing, is the lifestyle chat. Now, during this time when you're talking to your care provider, you're going to likely talk about your diet, your exercise, your sleep habits, any sort of stress you may be encountering, any sort of mental health concerns. This is your time, my friend, to ask about anything that's been on your mind. Now, I know sometimes the time limit that we have with our care provider sometimes is limited, whether it's on the care provider part or on your part because you may be stepping in during your lunch break. This lifestyle chat that these doctors are doing now is your time to ask for anything. It's you have anything you want to ask. It's very, very important because again, it's building that rapport with your care provider, but also keeping you on top of your health and wellness as well. You know what I mean? So these type of screenings definitely can catch any sort of condition. So you definitely want to ensure that you are having your annual checkup, and this is what you can expect as well. Now, what are some tests you should ask for when we think about it? Because, there's something that we don't often think about. And not all doctors are going to automatically offer you any type of test. Sometimes you've got to advocate for yourself. And I can give you an example of that and ask for what is right for you based on your personal health risks. Now, when you think about some tests that you should ask for is your blood pressure and your cholesterol, because there's been instances where, like I said, the nurse assistant or the medical assistant will come and take my blood pressure, temperature, and my oxygen. And she's reading the signs and she's not telling me what my blood pressure is. So one thing I often try to do is to ask. I shouldn't have to ask, in my opinion, but I'm sure if I've experienced it, you probably have as well. They're just gonna, it's fine. No, I need to know what my number is. My baseline is usually a 110/60 or 110/80, which is still in a sense in the normal range. A normal blood pressure is usually 120/80. Anything 140 and up, it's a concern. It's an alarm. So normal blood pressure usually 120/80. But when they're checking for your blood pressure or even your cholesterol, these are essential because high blood pressure and cholesterol don't always show symptoms, but they can lead to things like heart disease, stroke, and any other complication that is left if it's left unchecked. Now, if you are not already checking at home, ask your doctor to monitor your blood pressure at your next visit because, again, high blood pressure can lead to serious health issues like stroke and heart disease, but it is very treatable. You also want to talk about or ask for your blood glucose level, which is your blood sugar, and your cholesterol levels as well, because these tests are very important for keeping track of your heart health and monitoring for diabetes. So please don't skip them. Especially if you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes, you need to ensure that you're staying on top of this and getting tested regularly. Because if you have a family history of diabetes, again, this test is crucial. So even if you don't know how to monitor your blood sugar, that's a conversation for you to have with your primary care provider, because glucose is an important source of energy for the cells in our body that makes up like the muscle and the tissues. It's how we function. When we talk about feeding the brain, it's also the brain's main source of fuel. And I think sometimes we talk about diabetes, and I've seen in my line of work, we sometimes brush it off, or because it's like, especially in the Black community, diabetes is much more prevalent. We think, okay, it's part of my lineage or whatever. No. The main reason or the main cause of diabetes, honestly, can vary. There are two types of diabetes. I won't necessarily get into the two types, but the One of the most common one is the type 2 diabetes, and that is the one that is reversible. So when you have diabetes, that leads to an excess amount of sugar in the blood, and too much sugar in the blood can lead to serious health conditions. I remember having a participant in the program that I work for. She was pre-diabetic, and I remember her telling me, "Oh, Miss Tanya, I don't eat a lot of sweets, XYZ." And that's another misconception. We think that just eating a lot of sweets can contribute only to diabetes. But no, there are some foods that increase your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. That could be foods like, sugary drinks, of course, any sort of refined carbs like white bread, white rice, and sugary breakfast cereal. That could be red and processed meats like ham and sausages. These can contribute to type 2 diabetes. Of course, the salt intake, especially when it comes to processed food, that can help to increase your blood pressure and also put you at risk for type 2 diabetes as well. Some other tests that you can ask for is the thyroid function test. Now, women especially experience thyroid issues that may cause, you to feel fatigue, weight changes, or mood swing. It's a simple blood test that can provide important insights because, again, as a woman, we're more common to realize that we have thyroid issues. Because for me, I thought I had issues with my thyroid because I was feeling overly tired. I was anxious. Some people may say, "Oh, you haven't put on a number amount of weight." But for me, coming from being a skinny girl to where I am right now, I thought, okay, what, maybe this is the weight change. So I did ask my doctor for a thyroid test, and thankfully everything is fine. But again, look at these symptoms when it comes to being fatigued all the time, any sort of drastic weight changes, any sort of mood swings. I know, again, as a woman, we have literally 1 week out of a month of normalcy as far as how we're feeling. So it might be hard to even tell if it's hormones as far as your period or if you have a thyroid issue. So if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, definitely want to ask the doctor to run a thyroid function test. Now, the other test is the vitamin D levels because so many of us are deficient in vitamin D and we don't even realize it. Low vitamin D can affect your mood, your energy levels, and even your bone health. And that's something that we don't often think about, but it can affect that. So make sure to ask for this test because, again, many women are deficient in vitamin D, which is going to affect our bone health. It's going to affect our immune system, our immune function, and our energy levels. And, we are go-getters here. We are trying to find balance while doing it all. We can't afford to be lack of energy. You're not feeling our best self. So you definitely want to talk about the vitamin D levels. Now, for me, that's another reason why I go outside and walk when it's sunny because, we get that natural vitamin D from the sun. But however, we are still deficient. So sometimes our doctor can recommend a particular medication or alternative medication or alternative way to how we can increase our vitamin D levels because that plays a major, major role in our health and wellness. You also want to ask for STI screenings. Now, I know you're going to tell me, "Girl, Tanya, I'm married. Oh, I'm in a monogamous relationship, a committed relationship." I get that. I get that. Even if you aren't, it's important to still get screened for any sort of sexually transmitted infections regularly. Because again, some infections can be asymptomatic for years. So you want to just keep being, keep taking care of yourself. And not because you may be married or in a committed relationship, that means that, you cannot get these testing. It's just erring on the side of caution. You know what I mean? You also want to think about cancer screenings. Now, this is based on your age and your family history. So ask about screenings for, breast cancer, cervical cancer, colon cancer, or prostate cancer. I will say, and I'll share a story with you. For me, my cancer doesn't necessarily run in my family. I can't think of anyone who was that, it's not a part of our family history. But I have, and I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, I've had issues where, I was always constipated or I just had a concern for why I was having significant bloating, why was I having discomfort when I'm going to the bathroom, these different things. And I remember having a conversation with my primary care provider that I just was not being heard or seen by her, but I had to get real antique and panchy. I have to just get on real bad so she couldn't understand that, I'm not the one to play with. You understand where I come from? So I had to speak in a way by advocating for myself in order for me to get referred to a gastroenterologist. And then as a result of that, I ended up doing a colonoscopy. Now, a colonoscopy is not often given to someone my age, but what I will say about that gastroenterologist, I felt heard and seen, and she wanted to err on the side of caution. So even though, did the colonoscopy, they were like, everything is great. We don't want to see you until you're XYZ age, But again, even if, and I'm saying that to say, even if some of these cancers don't necessarily run in your family, if there's something that's not feeling right in your body, you advocate for yourself and you get the necessary tests that you need to give you peace of mind and to ensure that you know you're on the right path. Okay. The next test you want to get is a pap smear and HPV testing. Now, this is going to be essential for detecting cervical cancer early. So your doctor is going to guide you on how often you need these based on your age and your risk factors as well. So, it plays into what your risk factors in your age and your history is as well. And then there's the breast exam and the mammogram. Now, if you are 40 and older or you have a family history of breast cancer, your doctor is going to recommend you to have regular mammograms. It's also a good idea for you to learn how to do your self-exams at home. I know when you've seen the doctor, they tell you, you lift your hand and you put, look for these, familiarize yourself with your breasts, touch them up, love them up, so that way you can notice any sort of changes in your body. Because one thing about me, when I'm taking a shower, whenever I see myself, I'm just looking, I'm observing, I'm touching and feeling, because that's how I know to test myself to ensure that, everything is on the right path. So if something feels weird, I know that this is not a normal part of my body. Like don't be shy asking about or asking for these tests, especially if you have a family history or concerns about any sort of specific conditions. Now, I won't be me if I didn't bring this part in, because I'm talking and I think I'm coming from a place of privilege, whereas I have a job, I have good health insurance, I have access to my different care providers. But as a public health practitioner, when you think about, especially living in America and coming from Antigua as well, when you think about the access to healthcare or individuals being able to afford their healthcare, it's really ridiculous. And we know that United States is ranked like super low when it comes to healthcare on a global scale. And I know not many people are going to be in my position to have the good insurance that I have to advocate for themselves or to speak up for themselves, because again, it just depends on your socioeconomic status, if we're being honest. And many of us, our social determinants of health essentially dictates how we move forward in our life, or how educated we are, what access do we have. So I know, again, not everyone will have the privilege to see a care provider, but utilize your free clinics that you may have. You can still advocate for yourself, even if you're someone who you only have access to the basic essential checkups when you go to your primary care provider. You too have the right to ask questions. And it makes me annoyed when I think about the healthcare system of the world, but especially in the United States as well, because again, even back in Antigua as well, people don't have or they may have the access, but then at the same time they can't afford to take care of themselves. So it's not lost on me with that. But again, I will say, take advantage of all the free resources that they have available, because they are out there. It's just that sometimes we don't often know where to find them. So I'll put some stuff in the show notes where you can get some free resources to ensure that you are speaking up for yourself and you're asking and having the right health care that you need as an individual, depending on your socioeconomic status. I want to talk about how we can advocate for your health, because you're at the doctor's office now. And this part is really important, because advocating for your health, again, no one knows your body better than you. Like I say, every time you see a mirror, you look at yourself, whether it's in the mirror, on yourself, physically, you look, you touch, you feel. That's how you're going to build that relationship with your body to be more in tune, because no one knows your body better than you. And if something doesn't feel right, let me tell you, trust your instincts and speak up. Because every time I don't trust my instinct or my gut, I end up in some sort of problem. So you definitely want to trust your instinct and speak up when it comes to your body. Because, advocating for your health, it's sometimes it's still taboo, or some doctors just think that, because they're a doctor, they should know it all. The truth is, not all doctors are great about taking the time to really listen to their patients. But again, no one knows your body better than you. So here's how to make your voice heard. Prepare ahead. My friend, before your appointment, I want you to write down any symptoms or concerns you have. That way, you won't have to forget to bring them up, because I can't tell you how many thoughts are in my head per minute. And sometimes I often say, I'm going to ask my care provider this question when I get there. And then by the time I get there, I forgot it. So I've started writing things that I want to talk about at my appointment. So whether it's a new ache and change in your sleep patterns, or even any sort of mental health concerns, if it's a change in your discharge, whatever it is, everything matters. So before your next appointment, really and truly write down everything ahead of time so you can have a plan going into your appointment. The next thing you want to do is ask questions. If your doctor recommends something and you don't fully understand why, let me tell you, you ask them why. This is your right to understand your treatment options, okay? Ask about the risk and the benefits of any tests or procedures. and also ask if there are any alternatives as well. So do whatever, you're not going to just do whatever the doctor says. Because I think sometimes for us, and I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've done it too, where I think, you know what, I trust my doctor, whatever they tell me, I'm going to do. And it's like, no, sometimes you have to really speak up for yourself. You have to really ask these questions to, to be able to have all the options, so then you can make that informed decision about your healthcare, about your wellness, about your treatments. You know what I mean? So get that clarification. If you're told, okay, hey, everything looks fine, but you're still feeling, like off, ask for more tests. I don't care. Ask for more tests, or you know what, my friend? Seek a second opinion. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You don't have to accept everything's fine if it doesn't feel fine to you. And one thing I will say, I admire my mom about, sometimes she's like, oh, I'm not feeling well. And she go to the doctor and they're saying certain things. And she's going to either seek a second opinion, or she's going to ensure that she speaks up for herself so she can know, they can know, I'm not the one to play with. I don't feel fine. I get that you're telling me I'm fine, but I don't feel fine. So we need to run some more tests. So you definitely want to do that. Get that clarification. If you got to seek a second opinion, ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing at all is wrong with that, because at the end of the day, it's your health and you have every right to feel comfortable with your care plan. When you go again, you want to think about bringing up family history. So if you had a parent or a sibling or someone in your family with a major health issue, like let's say heart disease, cancer, or diabetes, don't assume your doctor knows that. Like I mentioned earlier, when you go for your checkup, they'll ask about family history, because your family history plays a huge role in what tests you should be getting done. So think about that. And then the other thing is, which is my favorite, is don't be afraid to switch doctors. And I say this, my friend, because if you feel like your concerns aren't being taken seriously, or your doctor isn't giving you the attention that you need, it's okay to find another provider, because what you deserve to feel heard and respected when it comes to your health. I'm going to say it again. You deserve to feel heard and respected when it comes to your health. And I'll share an example, because when I was, as a doula, I've seen my clients stress about wanting to change their provider, especially in the third trimester, because you know what, they're not being seen, they're not being heard, they don't feel respected. And some of these doctors will essentially tell them that they can't switch in this late in their pregnancy, or some doctors won't accept certain patients if they're within a certain trimester. Granted, that is their right, but I don't want for you to be afraid to switch doctors, because for me, I'm currently going through a breakup with my primary care provider, because like I've been saying on this podcast for a while, I have migraines. I'm too busy of a person. I have too many goals, too many ambitions of a person to not be well enough to function. And my migraines are crippling. And for the last 2 years, I've been seeing this particular doctor, and all we've done is just medication after medication after medication. I've even found holistic way again, but sometimes that doesn't work. So I do need the medication to survive, right? To prevent a migraine, and also medication for if I actually have a migraine, I take that, right? There was an instance about a year and a half ago where I passed out in my home. I live alone, and got to the emergency room, and they gave me a cocktail, as they call it. I forgot what medication was in it, but I know I just felt really good after. But I remember the PA, the physician assistant in the ER, said he was going to put in a consult to my primary care provider for a neurologist, right? She got that, never really gave the referral to me. I'm telling her one day, you know what, this headache is just, I can't. I'm in grad school, I got a nonprofit, I got a podcast, I got things I got to do. I need something else. And this woman, for the life of me, just kept either prescribing new medication or kept upping the dose on the medication that I was taking. And I had to get really, again, antique and punchy, because it's just like, me tell you that my head hurt me and you're not listening to me. I'm telling you, I have all these migraines. You keep just giving me more medications, more and more and more, and I think, again, asking for an MRI, I've been asking her that for the last several months. And she's like, you know what, we're just going to try this medication. And I had to say, you know what, we've been doing this. You told me if I fail a particular amount of medication or whatever, we'll have to try a different alternative option. It would have been Botox, something. And we're not doing that. I failed the 2 rounds of the medication, So it just literally 2 weeks ago, I said to myself, you know what? I can't keep doing this. And another reason why I'm breaking up with my doctor is because she was actually a nurse practitioner, but why I'm breaking up with her is because I discovered, upon doing some research after doing the blood work with her and realizing that my cholesterol was significantly high, her recommendation to me was for me to work out, stop eating red meat. The things that she recommended to me, I don't even do, right? So again, the math is not mathing, because there's just no reason for me to be having high blood pressure if you ask me, right? And as a result of that, I did some research, and it turns out that my medication that I'm taking can contribute to extremely high cholesterol. So I'm saying this to my doctor, and she has left me in red for the last couple of weeks. So I'm just moving on and move on, because it's like, you're not respecting me. You're not giving me what I want. So again, like I say all this to say, you know what? Don't be afraid to switch doctors. I've made an appointment with my new doctor, but you know what? She's booked up for the next couple of months. But at least I know I'm just leaving that particular care provider because I didn't feel respected, or I'm not getting the attention that I need. So I'm saying all that for you to know that, you know what? Just don't be afraid to switch your doctors. And remember, you know, if your doctor isn't giving you the time and care you need, it is perfectly fine to look for a new provider, because what your health deserves attention and respect. So here are some ways in which you can advocate for yourself. I'm going to repeat it for you. You want to prepare ahead. You want to ask questions. You want to get clarification on something that you're being told if you don't understand. You want to make sure that you're bringing up any family history. You're not going to be afraid to switch doctors if you're not getting the care and attention that you need. What I will say, your relationship with your doctor should feel like a partnership. And that's one of the reasons why I'm moving from my current primary care provider right now. It should feel like a partnership, because what? They are there to guide and support you. But you are the expert on your own body. So if you're not feeling the mutual respect, it's time to reevaluate. Like I've been seeing my doctor for a long time. I had to reevaluate. I had to do the pros and the cons, because again, my health is most important, and that's why we're parting ways. And I'm finding me another care provider. But I do want to encourage you, like, these are some ways that you can build a strong relationship with your healthcare provider. And that's just to be honest. There was a point in time your friend, your girl, Tanya, was not the most honest in her doctor appointments, okay? Because I didn't want to be on any medication. I didn't want to be judged. It was just a whole, like, again, younger, naive me. Thank God for age and maturity, because, girl, what? One of the ways to build a strong relationship is that you want to be honest. Tell your doctor about any and every symptom that you're experiencing, even if they seem small. I don't care. There's no such thing when it comes to healthcare as a silly question or too much information. Everything is relevant when it comes to your health, okay? So let's be honest. You also want to keep track of changes. So if you notice any changes in your body, like let's say a new mole, a change in your period, or unexplained weight gain or weight loss, let your doctor know. Do not wait until your next annual checkup, because annual means 12 months, okay? You don't want to wait till your next annual checkup to mention it. And then you also want to set some health goals together with your primary care provider. So whether that's like improving your diet, or exercising more, or quitting smoking, you know, your doctor can help you to set achievable health goals as well. And these goals essentially and ultimately should be based on your lifestyle, your health risk, and what works for you. So what works for me, my friend, is not going to work for you. What may work for your doctor is not going to work for you. So you want to set these health goals based on your lifestyle and whatever health risks you may be exposed to as well. So those are some ways that you can build a healthy lifestyle, or healthy relationship rather, with your doctor. Just be honest, keep track of changes, and set health goals together as well. That's how you guys can have that partnership as it relates to your health and your being. You know what I mean? All right, so I'm getting ready to leave you alone. But the takeaway as it relates to this episode is, you know, annual checkups are a form of self-care. I talk a lot about self-care in this podcast and just in my everyday life, but again, the getting your nails done, they're going to the gym, so many different things that you can do. That's a form of self-care, but also annual checkups are a form of self-care. It's not just about, okay, hey, let me go tick this off my to-do list. No, it's about being proactive with your health. When you take care of your body now, my friend, you are preventing future problems. And that's the most loving thing you can do for yourself. And I want to say that again. When you take care of your body now, you are preventing future problems, and that's the most loving thing you can do for yourself. You're going to give your chance, or give yourself the best chance at living a long and healthy life. All right? So before you go, here's your action plan for the next checkup. I want you to write down any symptoms, questions, or concerns before you go. I want you to ask for the tests that matter to you based on your age, your lifestyle, your health, and your family history. Okay? I want for you to speak up and advocate for yourself. If something doesn't feel right, trust your instinct. Just trust your gut, okay? And most importantly, remember, you are your own best health advocate. take the time to care for yourself because you know what, my friend? You are worth it. You are worth it. So please remember that you are your own best health advocate. Speak up. Don't settle for any vague answers. Don't even do that because you deserve the best care possible. So again, your action plan for your next annual checkup is to write down symptoms and questions or concerns. Ask for the test that matters to you based on your age, lifestyle, health, and family history. Speak up and advocate for yourself. If something's not feeling right, trust your gut, my friend. And remember again that you are your own best health advocate. Please take the time to care for yourself because you deserve it and you're worth it. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, my friend. I hope this episode leaves you feeling empowered, informed, and ready to take charge of your health. Annual checkups aren't just routine, they are the opportunity to make sure everything is running smoothly and catch any potential issues. Because remember again, think of it like a car. You gotta fuel your car, you gotta put the oil, you gotta do anything. Your body is your most prized possession. Okay? So until next time, my friend, please stay healthy, stay empowered, stay informed, and keep advocating for yourself. Because what? Your health matters. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week. I can't wait to see you next week. But also, I want you to share this episode. If you have a friend or a family member, whoever it is, that you think they need like a little nudge or kick to make their health a priority, please be sure to share this episode with them. I love you for listening. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tea with Tanya. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Don't forget to follow on Instagram at Tea with Tanya Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the weekly Tea Talk newsletter. And of course, rate on Apple or Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen. See you next time. I love you for listening.